I gotta make sure my hearing aids are in so I can hear you properly. But good morning and welcome to Ag Talk and Raw, where I talk raw about agriculture and other things that are on my mind. Not yours, mine. Anyway, just joking around there with you for a little bit. I'm trying to move some things around on my screen so you can see my beautiful blue eyes with my beautiful blue shirt and my guns. Anyway, so here we are. I've been asked a lot of questions about farming and what's going to happen. Let me turn these down a little bit. That's too loud. And what am I going to be doing this coming year? Will I be doing North Carolina? Will I be doing the Virginia, Maryland? Will I be going out west? What will I be doing? Will I be growing corn? Will I be growing wheat, soybeans, whatever? Okay, so here are my thoughts on some of this stuff. And I did buy a 12-row corn planter last spring, and I just didn't have time to get it fixed up enough I didn't have any time to get it fixed up and ready to go for the spring planting. And the piece of property that I wanted to plant the corn on, it didn't come into fruition like I thought it was going to, and it was just got late, and I had to get my ass down to North Carolina to start baling wheat straw. So that project got put off to the back burner, and such is life. You can't do everything you want to do in this life. But yeah, I didn't grow any corn this past year, but I did bale corn fodder for the mushroom barns and stuff down in Virginia, Maryland, as you know, if you watch the other channel. So I've been giving a lot of thought to, do I want to grow corn? Do I want to grow soybeans again? And the answer is unequivocally yes, I do. I want to do that. But last night on my way home, I see herds of 30 deer, 20 deer, 6 deer. In my driveway, there was a half a dozen or so. My lovely wife brought me a sandwich. Isn't that great? So, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I'm not growing soybeans, that's for sure. I can't do that. Would I love to grow corn? Absolutely. Corn is by far my favorite crop to grow, and I have all the equipment to do it. I have 2 corn planters, a 4-row and a 12. 12-row corn planter is a little bit of an abomination of a rigid 12-row that was converted at some point to be a front fold corn planter, which is okay. I honestly think that there are some better parts out there that I could get to make this thing a little bit better. But it does function. It does do what it's supposed to do. But it started out its life as a 12-row rigid that somebody had bought a conversion kit and had it converted. I kind of like the way it works. Am I gonna use it? Well, I'm thinking about it pretty hard. I did acquire the piece of property that belongs to my family over here by the high school, and it is good ground, but it's been abused for the last 18 years. Yeah, 18, 17, 16 years. Just absolutely flat out abused. No fertilizer hardly put on it at all. There was sod grown on it for some years, and they stripped the topsoil away. So the first thing I have to actually do on that farm is to go pull soil tests and see what it looks like. And if it looks good, then the chances are I probably will grow corn on the whole damn thing, which is about 130 acres, 120, 130 acres in that area. And with a 12-row corn planter, I can do that in 2 days. And then, if I end up in North Carolina, which plans are, I'm going to be there. I'll be there, and we'll be doing the straw baling, and I don't really want to take on any more hay ground. Well, I do, but I don't. So I've got a meeting with the other contractor that does the Eastern Shore properties, and I have to talk to him and see whether he is how this is going to go, how many acres I'll be involved in, and if it's worth it for me to divide my time between the two, North Carolina and Eastern Shore, because those operations will be going on at the same time. And if that is the case, North Carolina will be my baby, and I will be working that one for the most part. and I will move my nephew into the Eastern Shore. Now, the Eastern Shore, I don't know how many bales we're going to be baling there, and if it is what it's supposed to be, then fine, I'll go buy 2 balers and a stack wagon, and we should be able to get that job done. And I won't do anything until at home until I get done with that. So that will be the plan that's in place for that. Boy, do I want to grow corn, though. I mean, the combine's not getting any newer. It's not wearing out. I mean, it's just sitting there. I've mothballed it, literally mothballed it, and that reminds me I should probably go throw more mothballs into the damn thing, get it started, because it has been a while since it was started. I do need a 6-row corn head for it if I do grow corn, because, it'll handle an 8, but it won't handle a 12. I don't think it would handle a 12. It may handle a 12, but it would be slow going, and, but it'll definitely handle an 8-row header, and I could actually make that. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get a 6-row corn head for it, because that thing will sail through corn with a 6-row header without any problems. I was limited in the speed that I could go because of the 4-row corn head, and that was just, even in 200 bushel corn, I couldn't go fast enough to fill the combine, and I would have some. Well, if you look at my older videos when I was growing corn, you'd see that there was some grain left on the cob because there wasn't enough material going through it. But those are the plans for it. So I've been watching and looking at new chemistries that have come out for corn. I'm kind of wanting to stay away from Roundup, because Roundup has been used so widely on that piece of property in the last 6 or 7 years. Roundup Ready soybeans, there's some Palmer Amaranth that came up into it. There's even some giant ragweed, which it's like, God, you look at this stuff, and every year of Roundup with no residuals on the ground, it's like, well, I'm going to have a weed problem there if I use Roundup. So I was definitely thinking, obviously, atrazine, which hasn't been used on that farm in a good 20, 25 years. I was the last guy to take corn off of that property in 2002, and what did I use on that? I think I did use atrazine. I don't remember now. I had corn and soybeans on that piece of property. And I don't know. Me and my uncle had a little bit of a problem there, and it was probably more of a misunderstanding than it was a, kind of a thing. But anyways, it was just a family dispute, and for 18 years I haven't farmed the property. This was the first year I was allowed back onto my grandparents' place, and I made hay there. I was supposed to put corn in on that property, on that piece, and there was hay already there. My uncle was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to put corn in." I was like, "Nah, I didn't do it. I just ran out of time." And last spring was a wet spring, and yeah, we have these wet years and stuff. So, but this coming year, we're going to really. I think we're going to hit it hard, like really, really hard. We're going to hit it, and we're going to do what we need to do to get fertilizer on, whether it's all, liquid and dry. That's the plan, so that I get it on when I need it on, and I'll have my potash on early enough, potash and phosphates. This corn planter does not have a fertilizer, dry fertilizer box. It has a pop-up fertilizer, which is so antiquated I'm not even going to bother with it. I'm just going to pull it off of there, and what I'll do is I'll broadcast and work it in so that it's where it needs to be when the corn hits the soil, and that's really my plans for that. But yeah, chemistries and things, I would like to use Liberty again. I used Liberty as a contact herbicide years ago, and it worked really, really well. The new corn varieties are just wonderful. From when I quit growing corn back in 2014 was the last year that I had corn, till today, these new varieties can pop up through wet soil. This ground over there it's cherry stuff. I mean, it was probably the best in Hunterdon County, maybe even some of the best in the state. And yeah, Thank God darn stink bug. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at, or what I'm looking at. I was even thinking about putting soybeans in there, but it's been beaned to death. In the last 5 to 7 years, has been back-to-back soybeans and wheat. Bale the wheat straw off, so there's no organic matter there. Soybeans just robs the soil of organic matter. It doesn't put anything back into it, and very little. And a good couple years of corn, and then go into soybeans, possibly, yes, on that property, because the deer population isn't that great there. And there's some farmers in that area that have great success with soybeans because they are hunted a little heavy, and they're big wide open fields over there, so the deer population they really don't have a place to hide. And I've grown corn over there before and done quite well. 200 bushel corn is really easy if the fertilizer program is correct. Again, I would like to get some organic fertilizer on there, like mushroom soil, compost. And if I could put a couple, 3 tons of that to the acre, and then hit it with, some triple 19, and of course then spray, when I spray the herbicide down, the residual herbicide, then I would use nitrogen at about 150 units to the acre, and we should be good to go then. But there's some trees that need to be removed, and there's some, they've got fence lines, or they weren't fence lines, they were terraces that my grandfather had put in, slight bumps, just field divisions, but he used to brush hog them. Well, this knucklehead that was farming it for the last 18 years, he didn't do anything maintenance-wise. He just let these trees, and 18 years of trees, they're about this big now. I got 18 years of growth. So they have to be dealt with, because if I'm going to grow corn, I'm not going to have deer haven. I'm just going to push them out, push them down to the other end of the field and call it a day. Maybe they can rot up there, or push them down to there's a corner in that one field that I can get them to. And there's actually 4 fence lines that have been allowed to grow up like that my grandfather would just be rolling in his grave if he saw it that way. So, yeah, the plan is to actually grow corn. That's really what I want to do. And if I get it in on time, and we can get it get the residuals, by the time I get back in July, it should be about knee high. I'm going to definitely be back and forth a little bit more than I was when I was there before. And even if I have to come up for a day or two and spray that corn, I will do it, or I will contract somebody else to do it at $10 or $12 an acre to do it with Liberty. I'd be okay with that. I'd just call the fertilizer company up. And the plan is still not to have 150 acre or the 120 or 30 acres. I want to do the home farm, because that's due to be cycled out of the grass that it's in, and get some of these other invasive grasses under control. And if I could put corn there, both home and over there, that would give me approximately 200 acres of corn. And maybe it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's something that I want to do. And I will be I'm gonna have to fix that grain bin. If I don't fix the grain bin, then I'm gonna buy a trailer, and I'm gonna haul this grain out as fast as I have it in. And when they do pass the USMCA and the China deal, I think corn is going to hit $7-8 a bushel. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not a projectionist, but that's what my thoughts are. And you can put in the comment sections below what your thoughts are on the grain price. What's it going to do? I mean, we've suffered now for about 3 years. Under Obama, we had good grain pricing, but I don't think we had proper representation as a country. And now I feel we have proper representation, and I'm sure the guys in the UK and maybe Europe don't like Donald Trump. But you know what? It's really none of your fucking business. He's our president, and I like him. And I think farmers do like him. They like to shake up. They see what's coming down the pike, I think you could call it the long game president. He's a president that's looking towards the future, the long game. Whereas presidents in the past, it was, a bill that was passed that would last, would give us a higher grain price, or even hurt us a little bit. I mean, under the Bush years, we were we didn't really have super grain prices, but in under the Obama years administration, we actually had pretty decent grain prices, but it was always due to expire. We always knew that it was a short-term thing. At least I did. Maybe a lot of farmers that built onto the grain bins and stuff thought that it would be a long-term, but I always kind of felt that it was a short-term thing. But the removing NAFTA, getting rid of that, doing the USMCA, which gives us a greater ability to trade there, and the China deal. China is huge. China has been huge, but the Chinese we have been at their, as farmers, have been at their whim. If they didn't like what we did, like under the previous administration, if they didn't like what we did, it was, fuck you, we're going to buy it from Brazil. And I've talked about this on this channel before, how they just buy it from Brazil, and Brazil buys it from us, and then, they get it for a cheaper price, and we kind of get fucked in the ass that way. And yes, my language is not great, but it isn't made for children at all. So, yeah. It's just the way it is. But what I see now with these new bills or these new laws that are being passed, I mean, if the USMCA it will pass. But if it comes into play, this is something that replaces NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which was a joke. I'm with the president on that. I didn't like it when it happened. I don't like it now. I didn't like it at all during the whole course of it, because back in the back in about 95, we had the 92 election. Jeez, William. The 92 election, and corn and soybeans were actually on the rise. We were obvious, and beef, beef was doing well. We had some beef cows there, just a few. We sold our culled cows. They went off. We would, I call them beef cows. What we were doing was we were breeding our first calf heifers to Angus. And then we would raise those up, the bulls, and then we would ship them out. Sometimes we would ship them as calves, depending on the beef price. But when they got a little bigger, you raise them up 200-300 pounds, and boom, off they go. And we made out pretty good that way back in the day. But then when Bill Clinton was elected in 92, that's when things kind of went, up. Yeah, that was 92, right? Bill Clinton was elected in 92. And all through the 90s. 95, we hit $5 corn, and people thought, oh my God, it's the best price ever. And people pounded on corn and killed the price. But there was no China. We weren't dealing with China at the time. And then, as you know, things progressed and went through. But I think of course, NAFTA was passed then. Once NAFTA was passed, and the corn price went through the toilet. I mean, I remember taking corn in late 90s, early 2000s, $1.75 a bushel. Wasn't even worth what we put into it. $1.75 a bushel. What the hell? That was in 2004, $1.75. I didn't want to grow corn after that. I did it anyway, but, it was like, oh, duh, I'll just do this. Even though I was doing mulch hay and stuff at that time, the price of mulch hay was only $75, and what in the heck is wrong with that kid? He's turning into a brat. He really is turning into a brat. He needs a little ass whooped. But he is... I want. The terrible twos have set at 16 months. But anyways, my sandwich is getting cold. I've talked to her about 18 minutes. And so those are the plans. And I'm looking for a brighter future in grain pricing, because we'll command a higher price. If you want to deal with us, in goods that for our people, you have to pay our farmers a fair price. And that's why I like the president, because I have never heard a president say agriculture or farmer or I love farmers, and farmers have been, and he actually recognized that farmers have been taking a beating in every administration since the 1980s, I would say. 50s were great, according to my mom and dad, and 50s and 60s and 70s were good. I mean, the 70s was the ag boom, and then it gave way to the 80s, the farming crisis, which was brought on by a Democrat president named Jimmy Carter, who was a farmer, and then Ronald Reagan kind of got us out of the mess there towards the late 80s, and it was worth growing corn and beans again, and then in the 90s it kind of fluctuated up and down. I mean, I've been through this. But I like this president because he talks about us. in a positive light, not like, oh yeah, the farmers, Democratic hopefuls, they come into the Midwest or even on farm properties and they talk, oh yeah, I'm going to fight for you, and then it's see you in 4 years. It's kind of like the black community, see you in 4 years, come vote for us again, we'll do nothing for you. But this guy, he's actually doing the job. But anyways, that's my political moment there at the end, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.